Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fan podcast. You idiots, I'm just laughing at these clowns just trying to make faces at me in the background. On this episode of the ET Stand podcast, we are going to work out stop it, you idiots. We're going to try and work out what a dynasty is and if the Cronulla Sharks can ever build one of their own. We're just not content with one premier. These idiots in the background, I'm going to stop them from pulling faces at me. Let's just bring them in. That is Boldo's tears. Chris Kelly, who would you move?
Where do we start? I'm glad Boldo didn't grow up in Egypt times because that's a terrible looking pyramid. It would have fallen over and collapsed by now. And given that he just Googled the squad and put Matt Ikevalu in the bottom and he hasn't been there since half of last year, our pyramid would have fallen.
He's still on the page.
The pyramid would have fallen over. You would have been missing a foundation piece and it's fallen over.
Maloney is intercept. Away goes James Maloney. They're kicking him home, the Sharks fans. Maloney is there. Healy. It's Healy and gone on his departure day. Mitch Healy gets a try. The crowd have gone absolutely bereft.
In amongst all of that, Latz had an awesome story about how awesome this Finau guy was, and then Boldo concludes it with like, yeah, Finucane, how good is he? And everyone's like,
I don't even know who Finau is. I just assumed that Finau was the same guy as Finucane. Is that a different person? I didn't know that. Who the hell's Finau?
Wow. This is how flawed the tears are. He doesn't even know half the time.
Boldo.
This is where the tears bit comes into it.
I'm listening to the car going, did my stream just like skip 30 seconds or something? Like, no, it was just Boldo just playing along. But anyway.
Fitzy, great ball to Campbell. He's away. Campbell to the 30-metre line. Now, Colin Best heading to the corner. Gets it back on the inside. Graham, they're over. Nick Graham has scored. 4 minutes into the game. And it's away. Here they are. Pryor, can he get it there? Yes, he can. Matt Pryor, an unlikely first try scorer for the Sharks.
Interesting enough that the North Bears are getting that desperate. They're talking about having a Pacific Bears team so they can sort of engulf those Pacific nations and sort of get that ball rolling where they think they can sort of, take on the Cook Islands and the Samoans and the Tongas and sort of make it their team. So PNG's to go for me.
I'm pretty convinced after that. All right, Franco, what do you got?
Mate, can I rebuttal that, or am I giving it a different answer?
Go for it. Enough arguments on this podcast. Come on,
you're going to throw out cans, and they're going to play out of cans.
Ever. That is the dumbest idea ever.
Townsend now calling the shots with Johnson off. They will go. Gallen, field goal. Paul Gallen, field goal. That is amazing. That is ridiculous. Away. It's back to Smith. Smith gets it away to Cronk. Cronk's got Korobetti with it. Have they got a chance here? Korobetti's put down. The siren sounds. Cronulla have won it. Cronulla have won it. 14-12. You can turn the light out now.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence. elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Can the Sharks recover? 2 days on, have your feelings changed? Are you still angry, or are you even angrier now? And I've just realised that the angriest man... Sorry, Williams, I'm going to have to sin bin you. Right, we're kicking Williams out because he was so angry, I thought he was about to kick off, and I've sent him to the sin bin. He's coming back in segment 2 because I'm going to let him rant then. I was worried that he was about to rant right now because we're all worried, will the Sharks bounce back and make some sort of impact on the finals, or are we an absolute mess? Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fan podcast that lets its talking do the football. And we're live on YouTube tonight and also on Facebook. We're available on audio only, on delay, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube Podcast, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch of others. Get involved in the comments. Share with us, how are you feeling right now about the Sharks? Franco, 2 days on, how are you feeling? Has your thoughts and feelings changed since the debrief?
Yeah, for the worse, I'd say. We've certainly discussed it here, but just the way the other results have fallen with the Roosters and their injuries, could have locked up second spot, could have been against weaker opposition, could have, whether that's good or bad, you got to be the best, you got to beat the best, but geez, a saloon passage isn't bad, right? I would have liked to walk through to the preliminary finals, but now sitting in fourth, having to go down to Melbourne against a fully rested Melbourne team, it just hurts. It's just a missed opportunity.
It's certainly going to be a little bit tougher. Well, joining Franco tonight is Chris Kelly, the man who says that he hates rugby league. This is your favourite time of the month, of the year, isn't it? In terms of sport, it's NRL final series. The NFL's about to be back. Premier League's playing. No, you're not happy?
Nearing to an end, so I can just switch over to those other sports. I wish our finals, Franco goes, sort of lamenting that we finished fourth is kind of hilarious as a rugby league fan. But I kind of wish it was like the Warriors and we got the car off the field and see you later. And that was the end of our season. We ended on a high note, but yeah, we know pain's yet to come. So I wish we did finish off a game that we really should have won, but script says otherwise, and we'll see what happens from here.
All right. Well, on the right-hand side of the page, you can see what we've got coming up tonight. So we are going to let Maddy do a bit of a rant. I was worried he was going to kick off too quickly then. I don't know how we would have gone if I'd have asked Maddy how he was feeling about the weekend. We were just in the green room pre-show. He was already kicking off. So we're going to have an Overreaction Tuesday where I'm going to ask the lads the fan reactions. Are we overreacting or is it fair? We're going to preview both of the weekend games. We have got the return of the most famous segment in all of Cronulla Sharks entertainment, Boldo's player tiers. And we had the largest ever contingent of Boldermans and other people contributing to the tiers this week. So we'll see how that goes. Kelly's going to take us around the NRL, give us the finals rundown, who can finish where, and then we'll have a discussion on home finals. But certainly this week, look, the keyboard warriors, they were certainly out. And I'm going to do my best. Scott Latino, hold on. Let me get my little hat. All right. Is that how he wears a hat? All right. Okay. The keyboard warriors were certainly out this week. So I'll do my best to impersonate Lats with this 2018 hat. Geez, I just look like an idiot in hats, don't I?
You look like a little kid.
Yeah, I just look like an idiot. All right, well, let's rip in, Scott Latino.
If you do a flashback Boldo, you just get to put a hat on.
Exactly. All right, well, Jackie boy. This photo was actually taken by our dear friend Chris Kelly from row 4 of the ET stand. Look, he looked pretty forlorn. There's plenty of heat directed at poor Jack Williams through the week on social medias with those couple of crucial errors, especially that one at the end and also the penalty. Fitzy has been met equally as much with as much heat on him for why did he make that change at the end. And also, why were the team making plays where they were doing multiple passes out and not wrapping the ball out? Franco called it on the debrief, and the fans followed suit. Lots of frustration there. And Lats has come through with an edit himself and just said, well, let's look at it like this. Fans are quick to forget that Jack has been an immense for us all season off the bench and has done a job for us when starting when other players have not been around. Yes, it was a crucial error, but Jack's not entirely to blame. Chin up, Jackie boy. Lats is tipping him to have a massive game against Manly this week. Maybe. Look, the news has hit that Sharks fans have been left. Most Sharks fans have been left frustrated by the news that Royce Hunt has been granted an early release to join the Tigers next season. Certainly one D. Bolderman has been frustrated and others have not been, given his huge impact off the bench this year. Look, only 16 minutes last week means that maybe he's not as impactful as we thought. But Sharkies fans were certainly hoping that he would see the remainder of his contract out next year and perhaps teaming up with Adam Fanua-Blake. However, the club has confirmed his early departure and will go on to replace the Melbourne Storm-bound Stefano. Oh, Chris, can you pronounce his last name for me?
Balo.
Royce, thank you for everything you've done for the Sharks. We've certainly enjoyed watching you play, and you will be missed in the black, white, and blue. And let's just hope you can win a premiership this season, because probably not going to do so in your future career with the Tigers. All right, Ronnie, 2.0. Rumors have been swirling through the socials that the Sharks are showing a keen interest in signing young finite Ronald Volkman. Look, he's not called Bolderman, but Volkman. We'll run with it. The young half was released by the Roosters mid-2021, where he took up a 3-year deal with the Warriors, played a total of 5 games across the 2022-23 seasons. He was released from his contract in January this year, where he signed a 1-year deal with the Dargans. However, he failed a routine medical exam due to shoulder and hip issues. So looks like a young career that's been it's been hampered by a whole bunch of injuries. So plenty of footy ahead for him. So look, if he comes across to us, maybe that'll be one that we'll be getting back, and someone pushing for a spot in first grade like young Daniel Atkinson. It's always difficult, Franco, to commentate on players who might come and play for us when we haven't seen them play, isn't it? Because you can't really be sure, and it's tough to say.
Yeah, and he has got NRL experience, so he has played in first grade. Playmakers, young playmakers who have experience, who maybe are showing a bit of promise, is a bit rare. So can't hurt to have someone like that on the books. We know Peru is off contract at the moment, so maybe it's a replacement there. Maybe they're not sure of Peru's future at the club. Completely speculating there, because I think he's been doing well for us and doing a job. But at this stage, it's all just rumors and wait and see, right? Obviously, there's always that concern of the Roosters letting him go initially, because they generally don't let go players that have shown a bit of talent. But at that stage of his career, it was maybe too soon to tell. Obviously, he's got a bit of something going, because teams have been trying to sign him, and it was just unfortunately with those injuries that he's had to put up with.
All right, and then look, the JETS Jets had a thrilling 3-point victory over the Warriors last week and a high-scoring 7-try apiece. Goodness, that is a remarkable score, 39-36, with the boot of Peru proving to be the difference, nailing 5 from 7 conversions and a field goal in the 71st minute with tries to Billy Burns, Tom Redwell, Jordan Swan, with Jaden Beryl and Satini Takomo both bagging doubles. The win sees the Jets finish the regular season in second position behind the North Sydney Bears, and they'll go on to play Canberra at Leichhardt Oval at 5 p.m. this Saturday in week 1 of the finals. Nice work, Jets. Let's just hope that they don't. Well, look, yeah, I guess if they get beaten this week, they're out, aren't they? Is that what happens? Yes.
No,
they go
this time. They play against the winner of Warriors and Panthers.
And yeah, okay, got it. If they win this week, they go on to. So it's a top 5. It's an old top 5.
Correct.
Yeah, got it. All right. Well, let's rest all the guys, promote all the Jets players, and then they can win next week, eh, Franco?
Just win, baby.
Just win. All right. Well, look, we said that we would let him in. So let's, without further ado, the man, Williams, let's just switch the format. Let's put him in the big window view. Let's move him over there. All right, Maddy. I teased that I was going to let you in. Let me get rid of this stupid hat. All right,
Thanks,
Matthew. The floor. And look, before we let's just let you settle down for another 30 seconds.
There'll be no swearing. I'm not like the other Williams.
Well, Williams 2.0's come said, I'm here for the rant. Go on, son. And then my top 12 has come through and said, I'm a bit more calmed down. But yeah, the way the results went over the weekend, what a missed opportunity. But I don't think our season's gone yet, my top 12 says, saying that we can bounce back. And g'day to Harley in the comments as well. Harley, you are excited about the return of Nico Hines being named in the number 7. We will talk about the Sharks team that has been named, but we can't go any further without handing over the floor to you, Maddy. Off the fence. Let's go. Are you still annoyed?
Yes. I don't think I've been that angry or all the emotions about a game since, I'm going to say, we capitulated against the Roosters in, I think it was 2021 at the SCG, when we throw away a massive lead. Sam Walker was lauded by the media, the best playmaker to ever be a playmaker. The Sharks doomed to never beat another top 8 team. And gosh, like I was watching it at my cousin's engagement party the other day with no sound and just the roller coaster of emotions. And you can blame the referee all you like, but no, I'm not blaming the referee here, and here's why. So Saturday happened. Why are we so angry? Well, just when you thought we were a top 4 team, we go and do that, playing like Penrith and Melbourne don't and never will. Simple and crucial errors, both with and without the ball, and we capitulate again at Shark Park. How many times, guys? Just, I suppose the only benefit is maybe, well, if we finish 5th, just don't play there. Just period. We'll talk about it later, but just don't play there. Good golly, far out. Just do better. And then in this match, we fight back. The chips are down. We fight back. We get in position, and then we fail to close it out. We just, you know what happened there. So why are we so angry? Because again, at Shark Park, as I said, we failed to lift when expected or required. Full house. Win, secure top 4, and we go and do that. Like, you can talk about the referees all you like, but no, there were opportunities to stop that, and we didn't rise to the occasion. We lost to a highly beatable opponent. Why are we so angry? Well, Sean effing Johnson and the media love him. Would the Roosters storm or Broncos roll out the red carpet for an ex-player? You know the answer. Storm already proved that a few years ago with Cooper Cronk, one of the best players of all time. See you later, champ. Anyway, good luck, Sean. But 2 dud years, you should be thanking us for the opportunity, not the other way around. Like, far out. Why are we so angry? Well, yes, there was the refereeing, and we know that ever since 2002, the NRL loved having Shark Park as a location of a good old-fashioned round 26 change of rule interpretation or crackdown. I'm still scarred by Tim Matter against the Roosters back then. Whatever you want to call it, this was the location again, but we will face similar adversity in the weeks to come, and we almost got out of it, but we didn't. Due to avoidable errors, poor decision-making, both, as I said, with and without the ball, inexplicable decisions. I could talk about them all day. You guys mentioned Katoa, you mentioned Jack Williams, you mentioned the pushing the pass, the sprinting back for the 20-metre restart, stuff that just mature teams do not do. And just when you think this team's got it sorted, they do things like that. So we need to be better in the face of adversity. Don't let these lessons be in vain. So what now? Is there hope? Well, they do say the comparison is the thief of joy, and that is perfectly valid if you compare us to Melbourne or Penrith, because we're not in the same universe as them right now. But there's a tiny bit of hope, and here's why. And I know this is a rant, but I might say that maybe I've seen the light in the last 2 days as I've kind of just calmed down a little bit. So just cross all your fingers and toes that we don't cop a Roosters-like performance, because they've had a near-season wiping injury crisis on the weekend against Canberra. I've probably just jinxed us now. But anyway, for this moment in time, on the 3rd of September, we are still in a hope. And we've shown too that our depth is there, that we can cover some outs, because they will occur over the coming weeks. We'd all prefer to play the Roosters in Sydney. With their loss to Canberra, that may not even happen even if we did keep winning. So we'd end up playing probably Penrith. And the question is, would you prefer Penrith or Storm? I'd take Storm. It's not locked in, but I think it may be a blessing, an unlikely blessing in disguise. I'm not saying we could still finish 5th, right? But if we do, I think that beating Melbourne is more possible than beating Penrith. And if you're going to beat Penrith, you don't want to waste it in week 1 of the finals, because you only get 1 win over them this time of year. Don't waste it. And finally, we would have learned infinitely more, result notwithstanding, out of Saturday night than if we ran away with it. Learn from it, Sharks. We've been saying it. I thought back in whatever round it was against the Warriors last year that we would learn from that, and clearly we haven't. Clearly this team is still immature. They're still developing, so that's a good thing, right? They've shown, they've surprised us a few times this year. They've beaten the Roosters. They've beaten the Storm. They've had that big win over what's it called? The Titans, but far out. Like, just keep developing, guys. Use it. If we ran away and won by 50 on the weekend, we'd be backslapping, going how good we are, and there'd probably be those still lurking issues in there. So keep working on them. Jack Williams, we love you. Please bounce back.
You love Jack Williams.
Yeah, I do. I was and still am devastated for him because he's way better than that. But it happened. Anyway, we all wanted to be on the dance floor. We're on the dance floor now, whether it's top 4 or 5th. That is unlikely, but still possible. And Cronulla is a team that could find their way to 5th. It's over to you, Fitzy and co. You've surprised us many times this year, both good and bad. I think there might be 1 or 2 more surprises yet. Please let them be good. Get it done.
All right, well, that just takes us straight into the Overreaction Tuesday. Mr. Kelly, I'll start with you. Is he right? Is Matt Williams right to be that annoyed? Is that an overreaction just then? We call the segment Overreaction Tuesday. Is that an overreaction from Matthew Williams, or is that how Sharks fans should be feeling right now?
Feeling that, but I think it was an underreaction. It was quite well by Maddy not to swear there, because I had to hold myself back and, had to take a deep breath to actually come on the show tonight and actually present a bit of a talk about it. I'm glad Williams wasn't there on the night, because Boldo twice said we can't lose from here. And
I said we'd win. I said we should win from here.
We won't lose from here.
We shouldn't lose. We're 60 seconds to go and we had the ball.
This covered. Sharks going to win this. And even on the debrief, he said, I was never at any stage worried about this game. He also started planning for the finals, Williams, talking about going to Melbourne and what he's going to do. And I said, why don't you rip out the 2015 video again and give yourself a lesson and just forget about it? Let's get through the second half of this match first.
We were 22 to 4 points up. You shouldn't lose from there.
Correct. You shouldn't, but they do.
You shouldn't lose from there. Come on.
You've seen Sean Johnson at Shark Park. You've seen us play the Warriors. And Williams just gave you a plethora of examples of where we're Cronulla-fied results. It wasn't going to happen. How many times have we been at home pushing for a top 4 spot in the last round or even the second last round, and again, absolutely capitulated? It felt like playing Manly again. It felt like playing Canberra again at home, where we should have been playing top 4s and having home finals. We had the fireworks ready in 2002. I'll give you plenty of examples of times where we should have won at home and easily kicked onto the top 4 and did it. And you're sitting there going, how good is this, clapping them at 24 to 4? No, it was the Warriors. I told you that the Warriors had never lost on the 31st of August in their history. And what happened? The script writers came out, gave us a sin bin, and sent Johnson off into the fucking sunset and went from there. So it's just, underreaction. Goodness.
All right, well, look, the Sharks and the pressure moments of the big games don't seem to do it. Seems to be the consensus. I don't know. You like queuing my questions up because, Franco, is that an overreaction from Chris saying that the Sharks can't do it in the big moments? Is the Sharks not winning another match this season on the board? Is that an overreaction?
Yeah, that's an overreaction. Look, we're certainly going to win another game this season. I'm not sure I agree with the idea of being unable to handle big moments or pressure situations. I certainly believe that we are flat track bullies. And then when it comes to the better teams or the tighter scenarios, we don't get away with as much as we would in the easier games. Maybe in those scenarios, we start to break away from our systems. It makes it harder for us. Maybe we get in our own heads. But ultimately, we've proven this year that we can and do win big games. What do we need to improve? I'd say we need to get better at game management. How do we handle the swings in momentum? How do we handle the refs and the way that they ref? When do we pick our moments? It's those sorts of things that we need to get better at. We need to get smarter, right? We're already a fit, strong team. We've got a lot of skill. We just need to start thinking about what we're doing and when we're doing it. Williams mentioned the other Williams. You mentioned it, Boldo, at the top, right? It shouldn't have come down to the drop from Jack. It should have just been tuck it under our wings, less than a minute to go, 7 tackles in hand, drill it to the corner and make them run 80. So we didn't do it, and that was on us.
I think that's fair.
Franco, I was quite confident in that last couple of minutes when we scored, kicked a goal from the sideline, and we're up by 2. And we're going to go back to our Shark sort of style of tucking the ball up, running the game out. But in those last couple of minutes, they looked really nervy with the ball. It was kind of negative.
They put on Jack Williams, Chris. That was the mistake.
There was 3
I don't think it
kicks
was.
from our blind side that was right in front of us. We were 40, 50 metres out, and Hines was putting up a bomb and hoping nothing would come out of it. And the young Tuapiki wouldn't run away with it, but he had a head start on it straight away. The Williams drop, I'm so angry about it, but at the same time, we went across field looking for someone to take the ball. Went, oh, here you go, Jack, you have it. Like, no one wanted to go forward or tuck it under and make those hard yards. I think there was one run by McGuinness where he literally dived over the defensive line. It was about the best run the whole last 10 minutes. But it was just, we were looking really sort of negative and nervous instead of like, let's grind this out and win it. It was just, it was bizarre.
It wasn't a confident performance. You guys, just on a side point, nailed it the other night, missing Ramian, Mulatalo, Talakai. We lost that go forward, and our sets were stifled from the get-go because of that. I did like at one stage late in the second half where we were against the run of play and Trindle kicked early in the count. I think it was in the fourth, and almost got a 40-20 out of it. We need more of that. We need just smarter play. There's been times early in the season, it'll happen again in the finals, where our forwards are not getting the meters required, and we need to try things like kicking early in the count when the wingers are in the line. We also need to make sure, and you guys hit the nail on the head the other night, that many times over the last few years where we hold them out 3, 4, 5 sets on their line. It happened against the Titans this year. It happened against the Knights last year. It happened the other night, and then just unforced error, drop the ball, pressure valve released, and then the other team scores and the set immediately afterwards. It's not good enough. Penrith does not do that. Melbourne does not do that. They hold out, and then they'll play simple football. They'll go, cool, we're gassed. But just number one priority is get to the end of your set. Don't care how, get to the end of your set. And too many
angry,
times.
Aren't you, Williams?
So angry.
You might be angry for the rest of the year.
Well, it's just one of those things, right? It's the age-old adage of never believe. I think I did finish on a positive. I think that we had the potential. Like, if we won by 50, all these things would still be hidden. But there are still issues with the team. And coming into the big money end of the season, they need to be solved. They need to be better. Right. And
next issue for you to solve. Next issue.
By 50, Williams, if Hines was smart enough not to take the gap that Hunt created on a obstruction, and if Stone, and we talked about it in the guys.
I claim Hunt.
Debrief,
Hunt was in no man's there.
If Atkinson took the tackle, that's what I mean. That's not smart, is it? That's not smart. Yeah. And Atkinson should have taken the tackle off the supposed knock on instead of looking across field for Stone Street and scoring. We've yelled this out for years because the rules are that ridiculous. Go down and take the tackle.
That is one of your. All right, let me get my question out to Williams. Williams, Nico, did he come back early?
No. Or should he come back and play? I think it was forced. I think that obviously not having, was it Talakai and moving Atkinson to centre, who's not a centre, by the way. Love you, Atkinson, but I don't think you are. I think it was worth it. So he got through the game. He's obviously needing game time to get back into it. He still looked a bit rusty there. I thought he did better than I thought. He's copping an unfair rap everywhere. I think not to say the jury's still out. He's our star player. He's got the ability to be. He needs to be in the side. Even this weekend, I would have rested everyone, to be honest with you, and just run the gauntlet and gone, okay, we finished 5th, we finished 4th, just do that. And I would have played Nico, and I would have played him for about 20 minutes. Just get your eye in, get some runs on the board. I think we've left ourselves exposed to a Roosters-like ambush for Manly, just knowing that Manly need to win as well to shore up their own position. Don't buy into it. Just similar to, I've hijacked the question. So twofold, Hines didn't come back too early. Secondfold, if you could sign off on a result that was a loss right now, that kept you in 4th, lose by 6 points or something, would you take it this weekend?
Oh, absolutely. It just goes to show how important for and against is. All right,
similar
Chris.
to Gus Hiddink versus Uruguay back in 2005.
Yeah, you do it. You definitely do that move.
But he said before the game to Graham Arnold, he said, if I could sign off on a result in Uruguay right now, 1-0, no injuries, I'd take it. I'd pay all the money in the world for that. Go back home, do it. Same again. I think that's true. Just play out this match, keep 4th, play on next week.
All right, let's just hit through some of these comments that we've had come through because there's been quite a lot here. Well, firstly, we had Brainley just saying out that you were not happy at the start of the show, which was a lot of fun from that. Brett Young has called out that watching our kick chase late in the game, we were stuffed by 60 minutes. Noticed that Brindle was kicking them very high, perhaps to give us a chance to get to it. The hero removal certainly didn't help that. I think the hero removal was pretty much the key moment. Craig Gearon's come through saying much rather finish 4th than 2nd and play the Panthers. As soon as the Roosters lost, it was better to finish 4th. Maybe
But if we'd have finished second and won, then we get to play the Roosters or one of those weaker teams coming through, which would have been the advantage there. Hosier XCI comes through in the comments saying, I walk into your house respectfully as a Warriors fan, and I just want to say all the best for the final series. Yeah, all the best for you next season as well, Hosey. And I know that I've sent your name wrong. Paul Legend is here. I want to know who the real leader in this team is when we're on the back foot, i.e. Gallen, Fafita, Miller. One's coming next year. I don't know if we've got one now. Perhaps 2.0 is calling out that we're going to beat Melbourne next in 2 weeks' time. Nathan Hunt's come through in the comments saying it's a justified reaction. And then, my top 12 is also supporting that with my reaction on the night of the game. A few seconds we could have held on, defend with your life. Anyway, we move on. And 28-26, we're up. Jacko comes through saying, entertaining game, entertaining party. Boldo, bro, the little brother from over the ditch did the job. Yeah, well, Jacko, go back over there. Nathan, all we had to do comes through saying all we had to do was keep it simple and stupid. Why they did the multiple passes, I agree. And then we've got some Jacko's saying Turbo is out, Shark. He's a real chance. All right, let's go back to our overreaction. Chris, if the Sharks crash out of the finals with a whimper, it's Craig Fitzgibbon under pressure. Overreaction or fair statement?
I was seeding that much walking out of the ground. I nearly threw my pass onto the ground and walked out of there. I thought, you know what, if we go out in a whimper, I'm going to agree with the boys. It's time for Fitzy probably to have a look at himself, given mostly because we're talking about a moment in the game where we should have won, that Jack Williams coming on with about 2.5 minutes left in the game. That's not a time to make a substitution. We've talked about his forward rotation and his rotations and interchange. So I think that was a massive, crucial mistake that he made, taking off Rudolph, bringing on Williams for 2.5 minutes, which led to the mistake. But we can't blame, one player for the whole result. So, I think he is. Look, again, we touched on it a few times. We're a young team. We can't complain about being a top 4 team 3 years in a row, but we can't go out with a whimper. You're in the top 4, it's a dogfight. It doesn't matter if you're Melbourne, Penrith Roosters, Cronulla. It's going to be a tough first week. It's a roll of the dice, a couple of decisions, and it goes your way in a prelim. So that's the way the top 8's set these days. So I don't think even if, Roosters and Panthers are playing each other, they're not going to be going, well, how good is this? We're going to play each other and see what happens. So, it's going to be a lot of questions asked, especially with a big name for Fanua Blake coming next season and losing Hunt. I think the pressure will be on.
I'm going to counter that and say no. Just a quick one-liner is A, who else would we get? And B, would anyone else, any other coach in the competition right now get more out of the squad right now?
2 very good questions. I think that's the correct answer, Matthew. I don't think Fitzgibbon will be under pressure should we lose. All right, look, we've overreacted for way longer than I was expecting us to. God, you guys are still grumpy. So I'm going to ask the questions about Kennedy and Jack Williams not dropping the ball.
No, don't ask. Don't ask at all.
Well, you want me to ask you the question, Franco? Jack Williams, should he be the player? All right, Franco, I'll ask you the question. Jack Williams, too many drops. Is he the player who should miss out on the bench rotation in the finals? Overreaction?
Overreaction. He doesn't even have the most handling errors for the Sharks. He's got something like 13 errors for the season, which is less than an error a game. However, as we mentioned on the debrief, it's less about his errors and more about when and where they happen. They always seem to be at the worst possible time or place on the field, and it just compounds people's perception of him. However, I think he's been really good this year, but I do think it's telling that of our bench and the entire engine room, he's the only one without a contract for next year. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a quick bit of news off the back of Hunt's release. However, we still have Colquhoun to find a spot for. Talakai would do well in Jack's role off the bench, especially now with Iro making it a home for himself in the centres. And that's even before you consider all the up-and-coming young talent we've got looking for opportunities. He's in a bit of an irky spot, young Jack. And
so when you
things
say
like
contract,
this don't help
you
him.
mean he's contracted next season, but the one after, or doesn't have a team?
He does not have a contract for next year. He's uncontracted for 2025.
Oh, goodness. No wonder he's looking so forlorn and upset on the sideline. All right, I'm going to
Well, I
say
feel
this.
for him.
Jack Williams, I believe in you. Let's go. Your defense is terrific. What you need to do is you need to go watch The Receiver, the show on Netflix, and you need to get one of those ball machines that just throws the ball at you a million times, and you need to just practice catching the ball like Amon-Ra St. Brown. One hand, all that sort of stuff, and then you'll be an
I'm
absolute
sure he does.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure he does.
I think
Sure
he does,
and then moments happen. Anyway.
All right. Last question,
Love it.
overreactions. Given I'm not allowed to answer. Williams, is Kennedy out of form? Are we getting enough out of him? Overreaction or not?
Overreaction, I think. Well, I'll rephrase this, and I think that he's hit his peak, I suppose, at times. You've hit the nail on the head that his defense and at times positioning is what catches him out. But I think he's doing a job for us. I think he's our best choice at fullback at the moment and should continue in the role for the moment. Will we win a comp with him? Remains to be seen. But,
All right, the weekend game. Fair enough. All right, well, we can talk about Kennedy another time. He'll certainly get some attention in the tiers coming up in one segment's time. All right, well, Sharks will cross 3 bridges on their way to Brookvale Oval to face the 7th place Manly Seagulls, who will be fighting for a home finals match. If the Cowboys can beat the Bulldogs, that will mean this match result will not impact the Sharks' position in the top 4. Even with a Bulldogs win, they would need to overturn a 44-point differential and have the Sharks lose to Manly. So that's quite a lot of work for them to do, but possible. If the Panthers lose to the Titans and the Sharks could finish 3rd, we'd need a for and against miracle to take over the Roosters and get into 2nd. So I'd say it's looking likely we'll be finishing 4th. We will know the equation on Sunday when the team takes the field. So if the results go away, expect for some players to drop out of the team. This match can't come soon enough for the Sharkies. We'll be looking to bounce back from that disappointing home match performance. Chris, let's run the team list. We're announced. We're all looking out for them. Which players we're going to make a comeback? Chris, let's take us through the Sharks team list that's been named by Coach Fitzgibbon at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Take it away, Chris.
To normal programming with Kennedy, Katoa, Ramian, Iro, and Mulatalo in the back line. Trindle, Hines in the halves. Rudolph, Brayley, Kafusi. Go on. Britain.
Nicola.
Cam McGinnis, the captain. Daniel Atkinson has grabbed the 14 spot. Jack Williams still on the bench. Royce Hunt and big try scoring Tommy Hazelton, much to Boldo's demise. He scored more than 2 tries. Chalking up, I think it was his 8th on the weekend. So he's right up there.
What's your take on Dan Atkinson, Chris?
I said it was a 14 or a 18 spot for me. Maybe they're just holding back Siffer for the finals. He's on the extended bench with Ueli as well. But like you said, I will run through around the NRL all the scenarios that are coming up. So Dan Atkinson's holding the 14 spot. It's probably just in case we see those scenarios fall into place and maybe, like William suggests, Nico or Trindle get an early shower and Atkinson goes on. But yeah, for me, look, a game that we should have won, and we talked about it. I agree with Williams 100%, and I said it before the game. He's not a centre or a winger. He's a nice little utility / half. Possible he has a fullback in his future in there as well, but he's not in the centre winger conversation. So happy to have him at 14. But again, I think with the guys on the extended bench and a few sort of niggling injuries, we'll watch this space and see it runs out. But I'm glad that Ronnie's back, Ramian's back, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, the Manly team, what do we need to look out for?
Again, the injury curse has struck him, so he's out for this weekend, as well as Jason Saab. So the Koala goes in at fullback. Young Fa'alu's on the wing. Tommy Talau, Garrick, and Lehigh Hopewadi, who's been out of sight in form. Luke Brooks and Cherry Evans. Taniela Paseka, Lachlan Croker. Big Matt Lodge is getting a start. Ola Kawadu, Carl Lawton, Jake Travojevic, with Ben Travojevic on the bench. Josh Alloway, Bullimore, and Brown with Coach Seabold. So no Turbo, no Jason Saab. So Turbo's got a AC injury, possibly a bit of a head knock, and Jason Saab got everyone's favourite injury in syndesmosis. So it is a sellout at Brookvale, as Boldo knows. He's desperately looking for a ticket, so if anyone can help him out, he wants to go to his game as much as it's going to torture him. We know how much fun we've had at Brookvale in the past, and not. So they're a big sellout, big crowd. They're expecting big things out there. They did have a big win on the weekend over the Bulldogs, scoring the most points against the Dogs they've conceded this season. So They've hit a little bit of form. They're a strange team. I didn't have much faith in this Manly team doing much this season. I thought they'd be around that 6th, 7th spot, and with a few injuries, they'll probably drop out of the 8. But they're pushing their way up towards 5th and 4th. So we'll see what happens.
They're certainly better with Turbo in the team, so that is certainly a blessing. Franco, there's a few comments that have come through about the team that's been named. So Paul's come through saying if the side runs out as named, it's weird because Fitzy, after 26 round, hasn't had 4 forwards on the bench, or hasn't not had 4 forwards on the bench all season. We've seen 4 forwards every single time. This will be the first time we've had a utility back.
We had Atkinson on the bench in round 5 against the Raiders. He was in the 14 for that match. Came on, did a bit of a roving lock roll, and he did well there. He did fine. Obviously, did the hard stuff. Was good in defence. Didn't let the team down. So it's not entirely true there, Paul. He was there. He did the good job. But obviously, yeah, I'd rather have a big bopper there instead. But you know, he's doing a good job for us. He doesn't deserve to be dropped. And I do believe that, you know, given the time of year it is, with a niggling calf injury, they'll give Talakai an extra week off, and probably no one better to put in the bench than Atkinson.
Craig Gearon's come through in the comments saying this week's team is the best one for months. Perfect hit out before the finals against the top 8 team. Craig, I think you're right. This is the best team or the strongest team that we've put out for months. But we know that the Sharks versus the Manly Seagulls is a bogey game for us, and we frequently lose at Manly. Maddy, how bad is it?
Oh, you know it's bad. We played 98 times in total. We've won 28. They've won 68. There was a 22-all draw in, I think it was 1991 at Brookvale, and there was one other draw, which no prizes for guessing which one that occurred in a momentous game at the SCG in 1978. So at Brookvale itself, actually, we'll go over the streaks, let's say. So we've had a maximum number of wins in a row against Manly of 3. That was from 2022 to 2023 when we beat them at home on a Thursday night. On a Saturday night at Brookvale, Boldo, you and I were there. We won 40 points to 6, I think it was. Great night out. And then we beat them at Brookvale. Again, that's our longest streak, if you call that, or consecutive wins in a row at Brookvale of 2. And then we lost later on in 2023 at home. We almost came back from, was it 30-0 down, but didn't. So Sharks don't get 30-0 down, and you don't get in that position to start with. But anyway, so while Manly have won 8 games in a row against us, being their longest streak, the overall aggregate tally is Manly 2,114 to Sharks 1,585. So it's dire at Manly, not including our record against the Northern Eagles. That's another topic. They're at a defunct club, so they're not involved in these stats. But at Brookvale, Four Pines Park, Lottoland, whatever else it's been called, we played 42 times. There's been 1 draw. Sharks have won 7. Manly have won 34. So it's not ideal. Last start against them, we did beat them. Last start at Lottoland, whatever you call it, Four Pines. We beat them 20 points to 14 last year. It was a good result. We were up early, and then they came back and we hung on. I think we got climbed in that one. And then, yes, the year before we won 40 points to 6. But prior to that, we hadn't won there since 2008. So anyway, don't let history stand in the way of just performing, Cronulla. Just hold the ball, play it out. If you lose, as long as it doesn't cost us a top 4 spot, and no injuries, please.
You going to give us a tip, Matthew?
Manly by 7.
Manly by 7. Now, we had a few comments here. Delmo calls out, reminding him, remembering that in the 1978 11-all draw, he was standing on Eneski on the hill as a 10-year-old. Oh, I'm glad you weren't getting the beers out of the Esco, Delmo, you legend. My top 12 did call out that we've beaten them in the Brookvale in the last 2 games. Gives us a little bit of confidence. Tahi Bros calling out that Manly is going to be a forward battery game. Harley has come through with his tip saying that the Sharks are going to win. That's what I'm going to interpret that as, Harley, and I'll get the ET Stand tipping comp banner up on the board. So Harley is currently leading on 15. Williams and Boldo on 14. Franco 13. Kelly 12 and Lats. Well, I think you're done for the season. Lats on 11. Williams, I'm also going to tip Manly.
Pains me to do it.
Yeah, it's just painful to do it, isn't it? It's. I actually think we're going to rest a whole bunch of players because I think the Cowboys will beat the Bulldogs, and I don't think the match is going to make any blue streak difference in the world. We will finish fourth and go to Melbourne as
the
planned.
Extended bench. Do you have that? I'll bring it up here because we can only obviously sub in so many players. It's not like we can do a Sven Goran Eriksson back in the day against Socceroos and sub the entire team at halftime. Where are we? That's late, Sven Goran.
There's 5 on there. There's Sifa Talakai. There's Peru even on there.
So yeah, you got Hamlin Welly in 18, 19 Talakai, 20 Beryl, 21 Tukai Tapua, 22 Stone Street. So you could swap a winger in, swap a forward in. Obviously, you're going to have Atkinson replace Hines, let's say, or whatever. So Talakai is probably asterisk there. So maybe you'll be able to put 4 of those in and rest 4 of our players. That would be handy. I would have gone with actually playing the entire Newtown team, to be honest with you, but that's just me. Maybe it's just, I know it jeopardised their finals chances, but just turn around and go, look, we're here for the big show, whether it's 5th or 4th, just get ready for that.
All right, get your tips in the comments if you haven't got them in already. Look, let's ask Franco. Franco, you've been quiet during this segment. I feel like you're about to give us a bit of wisdom. What's going to happen on the weekend?
I've been biting my tongue. I can't believe Williams reminded me of that near comeback, miracle comeback that we didn't get because of, with a massive overlap, could have held the record for the biggest comeback in the NRL.
Oh no, that's wrong.
For naught.
Wasn't that Kennedy?
Kennedy. I'm just
Kennedy.
angry at that all over again. Thanks, Williams.
Sorry, guys.
Kennedy.
I'm on fire tonight.
He doesn't pass it.
Take some happy pills. Let's go.
Pass it. And I'm also like, that's cool, Adelmo, mate. Do you remember as a 10-year-old how you felt at the end of that 11-all draw? Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear. Look, Tom Trbojevic out, sub out, massive bonus. But for me, it's less about the team and more about that ground, the curse, the mental demons. I don't even think that those last 2 really relate to our current players of late. But geez, it hits me hard and hits plenty of fans hard. I'm not feeling it. I don't think there's going to be wholesale changes. I think, like I said, I think Talakai is going to be rested. We'll keep that core group in to get a bit of combinations going, get that match awareness back after Hines being out for an extended period. Hasn't played with Trindle that much for a little while, so get that going back before heading to the finals. Maybe Beryl gets a random call up, but I don't see who he would replace. I just think it's going to be as named unless there's an injury between now and then. I'm absolutely shocked that I'm about to say this, but I think Sharky's going to win by 12.
Oh, what a tip. Well, you're not alone. My top 12's come through and said Sharks by 6. And 2.0's come through and said Sharks 22-20. Ronnie with a comeback double. And then Adelmo has answered your question saying, Stephen, I was shattered, mate. Sludge's field goal attempt at the end went just wide. I didn't feel as bad as I did the next Tuesday, though. Yeah, well. And then Tahi Bros come through and then Sharks by 7. And then, Jacko's saying, Jacko here comes through in the comments. Geez, not much faith, guys. Yeah, that's fair. Jacko, have you watched much Sharks? Just get that answer in the comments. And then Willow654 has accurately pointed out that you all picked the Titans a couple of weeks ago. Do we all pick the Titans or do we all pick the
actually,
Sharks?
Myself and Franco both picked Titans Sharks by 4. And then if you combine our tips together, it's Sharks by 44, which ended up happening. So, or 8. But anyway, neither of us had confidence though.
Yeah, right. And Paul's come through.
Tip smashing the Warriors by 30 points as well. So,
look, guys, if you want to follow the tips, just follow Harley's tips. Harley has proven to be the most successful tipster on this panel. I mean, he's not even on the panel because Harley has just consistently tipped the Sharks to win every single match. So, look, we'll get Latz's tip. So, I think, what are we? Franco's the Sharks. Chris, what was your tip?
Hasn't tipped yet.
Hasn't tipped yet. What are you going to give us? And it is?
Manly for me, unfortunately. I hate that place, Brookvale. I hate Manly more than I hate the Dragons. I've hated Manly longer than I can remember. I hate the hoodoo out there. I haven't been to that ground since 2009 when Luke Douglas unfairly got sent off and they apologised afterwards. I swore to never return to that ground again. So I think Manly, they're playing for like I said, I'm going to go into it deep and around the NRL, all the scenarios. Manly need to win this game to host a Brookvale Oval home semi-final. So our way to a slender loss. But yeah, I'm not saying Manly by a heap, but I think Manly will win.
And there is confirmation of Harley's tip. Yes, I'm always backing my favourite team, Sharks, black, white, and blue forever. That's why you're leading the tipping comp, Harley, because you know never to deviate from tipping the Sharks. All right, well, look, let's jump ahead to looking at, I'm going to tempt it.
Can I just hijack one comment from Paul there? I think you were going to highlight a comment from Paul before it disappeared. So Paul said, went to Brookvale twice in the 80s, got flogged in 3 grades twice, once broke down in a car full of people after the spit, got home at 8 o'clock, haven't been back. Yeah, it's a fair summary, Paul. That summarises all of our trips to that neck of the woods, I think.
Paul, here's the problem. If that happened today, you would be able to log on to the ET Stand podcast debrief and listen to us complain with you and lament the damn situation we're in. But unfortunately, we didn't have that in the 1980s. But yes, I know how painful that damn spit bridge and that trip to. I actually think the trip for the Sharkies to Manly is the longest bus trip that any rugby league team makes, because if you play any further away, you actually book a hotel. So if you play against Newcastle, you would book a hotel and get a bus from around the corner. And you would stay overnight. Whereas Sharks versus Manly, they do the trip in a day. And I think that's why we saw for years the away team frequent. That's just my little theory. But I think that trip just sucks.
Pretty sure there's plenty of anecdotal stories about the bus trip to Canberra or the bus trip to Newcastle and back down the F3 and whatnot. So I don't know about that.
Overnight. They stay overnight now, though.
You're right.
They stay overnight now. All right. Well, look. Here's a positive thing. The NRLW. How good are they going? I can't remember which one of Franco and Chris is taking us through the rundown. Is Franco's doing it? All right, Franco's going to take us through what's going on in the NRLW.
Kelly's got to give us the names first. That's his bread and butter.
All right, Kelly, what's the name? Run us through the NRLW team. It's pretty much the same team, isn't it?
Lining up. The girls are absolutely on fire. I caught the game. I don't know about you guys, but I watched the game at 12 o'clock on Saturday playing the Gold Coast Titans. Wasn't much of a crowd there, but it was a really exciting game, and they are 6-0. The girls are on absolute fire. So luckily for us, we get to live vicariously through their results, and let's hope in the semi-finals our club doesn't represent. The girls should do better than what the club should. So we're going with Staples at fullback, Davis Welsh, Penatani, the captain again, Biddle, Ravis, Tomagado, Preston, Ellie Johnson, Dodd, Wheeler, Holmes, Byers, Anderson. Boldo's favourite in 14. Go on, Boldo. Who's your favourite in 14 there?
Charlie Smale. Is this her first game?
Vanessa Folaki.
First time 3.
Yeah, and Tony Herman, the coach. They are playing a Roosters team who are quite handy in NRLW themselves. Obviously, there's a few deep pockets over there. So they go with Bremer at fullback, Navidi, Strange, Isabella Kelly, Mia Wood, Jocelyn Geller, Sarah Aiken, Bulu Davis, Hill Moana, Hall, Kendrick Davison, Papali'i, Hopewadi, Ekamonos, and Luzomar, and John Strange as coach. And that is another Hopewadi playing in the NRLW related to the Hopewadi brothers and daughter of John. So
they're fourth. They're fourth, the Roosters, aren't they?
They are fourth.
Yes.
This week and next week are like the big real tests for the Sharkies girls, aren't they?
So we are the best defensive team in the comp, and that has gone a long way to us sitting at the top of the ladder, because if you look down throughout all the teams, everyone's scoring points willy-nilly, but we're actually there holding the teams out. The next best team defensively is the Roosters, and by like the barest of margins. So it's going to be a real knife fight where the girls are going to go at it just to see who breaks down first, and that'll go a long way to determining the victor. I'm hoping we get it. I'm tipping us to get it. Obviously, we are the hunted team now. Everyone knows we're the team to beat. So the Roosters are going to come out absolutely firing. But geez, we've got a lot of talent. We're doing everything right. We're playing well. Our centre combination of Penatani and Biddle, they are absolute superstars. They can find the try line. They can get plenty of meters, post-contact meters. They're really just driving this home now. It does start from the middle, right? We got some good playmakers as well that are helping them find space, but it's a good team to see. We've got a lot of freedom out there and a lot of good ball movement. It's lovely.
All right. Well, look, what time's that match on the weekend, Franco or Chris?
Oh, let me find out for you, mate. I don't know. I will be honest. It is.
Oh, well, look, I think
Sunday,
the equation is
Sunday at 12 p.m.
And yeah, Delmo's just come through in the comments saying, I read the Holly Wheeler has signed for the Dogs next year. And then Harley is also then backing that up saying, oh no, just a bit of a bummer. Look, the girls seem to be jumping around clubs a little bit more than the men at the moment. I think that will settle down once once all the teams come.
I think it's an interesting scenario there, because a lot of players in the NRLW have shorter term contracts.
Yeah.
It's sort of off the back of a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of trial and error. I will say that it does appear to be, and I might be blinkered here because obviously I follow the Sharks, but it does appear as though the Sharks are the first team to break out of that by offering longer term contracts. So yes, we've lost a player or two, but ultimately we're keeping the core squad together for a longer period of time in comparison to the other teams. So that's good work from us.
Well, that just helps with the Sharks girls team just looks fitter than all the other teams, and that consistency and all that sort of stuff is just crucial. All right, well, let's see if we can keep the run going. I'm not going to talk about it, you know what, because I get into trouble. So we'll go from there. Paul's just come through in the comments saying Caitlin Johnson from the Knights is replacing her. Thanks for that update, Paul. All right. Now, at a Father's Day dinner, a group of aldermans and a bunch of other characters contributed to ranking the current Sharks players, not according to the salary cap, not according to the Dally M points, but according to who's giving us the best output right now based on how much we're paying them, what position they're in, how we're feeling about them, and what they're doing for our side as we march into the finals. This is Boldo's tiers, Sharks top players right now. There is no theme. So previous editions of Boldo's tiers have had themes like Game of Thrones and Olympics and all this sort of stuff. We are heading into the finals. This is the most serious themed Boldo's tiers I can give you. There's a bit of conjecture. There are a couple of players who are down or up, and we're going to ask the boys for their reaction on the players in a minute. Do you agree with where I am ranking, or where the committee? Sorry, not me. It's the committee. So whilst you might want to blame me as the front man for the committee, there's a committee of legends who argued about it. We pushed a couple of players up. I lost on a couple of things. It was unanimous who was the top player, though. So we will get into Boldo's tiers right now. Okay, so JETS, Jets. Well, these guys, we're going to be playing out their season, playing for the Mighty Jets in the playoff series. So good luck to Peru, Tacalmo, Burns, Bradbury, Gabriel, Rodwell, and Vela. Don't expect to see you guys making any inroads on the first grade team at the moment. So sadly, you guys don't make it into the tiers. And then these two boys, they're done and injured for the year, that being Kate and Jesse. So you're not making it to the tiers either. So without further ado, the tiers. On the bottom tier, won't see them again this season. I don't think we see Beryl, Ison, Hiroti, and Tapua again this season. I think they are done. We will not see them again. So you can argue that they perhaps shouldn't have been included in the tiers. But great servants to the club and the team as we have marched toward the finals, and a couple of them can insert themselves where we need them. On to the next. Shocker. Sorry, Jack Williams. That was a bad mistake. I am putting you bottom of the tiers. Now, that's not saying, Jack, that I don't believe in you, and I'm not saying that you can't rise up the tiers, Jack, but I'm saying after that input at that last 60 seconds and that key moment, that is the reason we lost. I believe in you, Jack, and I look forward to talking about you rising up the tiers as we move through the final series. But right now, Jackie boy, I've got you at the bottom and only marginally below these three characters because these three guys find some form, please. Next on the tiers, we have Nico Hines, Will Kennedy, and Braden Hamlin-Uele. Why are these guys so far down the tiers? Because these guys arguably could be top of the tiers. Like, these guys should be our form players. If we are to make an impact on the final series, two of these guys need to find form, maybe three. Come on, guys, let's find some form. What can we do? Because right now you're getting beaten out by two players who arguably there may not even be room for you. Now, I did this on Monday, so we didn't think Atkinson was going to be named, but I'm still not sure that Atkinson's going to be named. But just think about if I'd have said to you 5 months ago, Dan Atkinson and Stone Street are going to be rated ahead of Will Kennedy and Nico Hines. You would have thought I was a lunatic. But that's the output that we're getting from Daniel Atkinson and Sam Stone Street right now. On to the next. Good, but questionable moments. I've got you, Tom Hazelton, and Kale Ilo on the next tier. Tommy Hazelton gets us some good tries, but he doesn't give us that many good minutes, and his also defense can be suspect at times. And Kale Ilo, the defense on the left side, sure, it led in a bunch of tries when you weren't there, but also the defense on the left looked a little bit shaky when you were there in the team as well. We still got some questionable moments, and if you were really good, we wouldn't be arguing about if Talakai should be replacing you as center, but you're still ahead of a whole bunch of other players. Guys, I do believe in you. On to the next. Royce Hunt, former champion of the tiers, is if you're only giving us 16 minutes, Royce, and if you're running through the damn line and not stopping us from scoring, maybe you'd be higher. Unfortunately, Royce, at only 16 minutes, I just can't put you higher on the tiers despite the performance that you're giving us, they've given us throughout the 2024 season and earlier in the year. On to the next. Solid enough, I guess. We've got Cam McInnes, Sione Katoa, and Teague Wilton on the next tier. These guys are solid enough, I guess, without hitting the lights out and forcing themselves up to the top of the tiers. I like them most of the time, but yeah. On to the next. Finish with them. Oregon Kafusi and Toby Rudolph. Well, they seem to be doing a lot better now and have cemented themselves as the starting front rowers. Toby, God, if we'd have just finished with you, I thought you've been in terrific form. You've been getting a whole bunch of points. Kafusi seems very high, but he's like a gun. Don't dispute Kafusi. He has forced his way to be a starting prop in the front row of the Sharkies, beating out Hamlin-Uele, Tommy Hazelton, and a bunch of others. So I believe in you guys as the front row pair to take us through the final series. Come on, boys. On to the next. Heart and soul, I'm calling this tier. As we move towards the top, there are 3 tiers to go. Blake Brayley and Braden Trindle are currently the heart and soul of the Cronulla Sharks and have been the ones that have been holding the team together. Brayley, who's been running the ball, been really impressed with how he's taken the leadership position. And then Trindle's kicking game and that conversion that he got from the sideline on the weekend. Simply brilliant. You guys are third on the tiers. Good to see both of you moving up. On to the next. Come back, please. So, the cocktail of disaster, these 3 being injured at the same time. So, individually, they may not be at the top of the tiers or this high up, but Sifa Talakai, Ronaldo Mulatalo, and Jesse Ramey, in the absence of those 3 guys all at the same time, really cost us against the Warriors and our ability to put them away after we'd gotten a little bit ahead. And if we'd had those guys in the team, I think we would have won. Welcome back those 3 boys. This week, Sifa Talakai, maybe you'll have another week's rest, but great to have those guys back. We saw how pivotal they are to the team. And then last but not least, and the undisputed champion of the Boldo's tiers this month, I'm pretty sure Franco will agree with me on this one, but Britton Nicola is the top player for the Cronulla Sharks right now. Effort plays, line runs, a whole bunch of stuff. What an absolute legend. That is Boldo's tiers for the month of August, leading into the last week of the series. Franco, give us your reaction to the tiers. Who moves up? Who moves down? You think I've got it right?
There's a lot of negative tier headlines there. That's not a good sign. Now, I guess, remind me, Boldo, the tiers. Is it because we're close to the finals? Is this an annual tier ranking, or is it just for the last month still?
Last month, and how I'm feeling right now. But yes,
I think there's a lot of recency bias for the Warriors game that's impacting this.
Well,
this
the
particular
last
list.
week, the last week kind of impacts it more because that's the most recent thing.
Yeah, look, it's difficult to move someone like Nico up the list considering he's been injured for pretty much the whole month. So I won't argue there. But look, I think Brayley is hard done by. I think he's really stood up this last month, in absence of either Hines or Trindle. He's had to sort of be the brains of the outfit. He's had to adapt his game a little bit, play a bit of ducks and drakes with the media, with the opposition teams. He's really sort of shown that he can be that guy for the Sharks for a long time. Like, we've all sort of said he's a great player. We've all sort of said he can do more. But at the same time, there's been a few question marks around, why having such a long contract? Why, is there not a lot more depth below him to put pressure on him? What's going on there? I think this last month has sort of shown that he is starting to come out of that shell. He's starting to prove people that he belongs, that he is a key component of the team. His defense is out of sight. His running game is now just unshackled. Would like to see him kick the ball a bit more. But look, I love Talakai, Mulatalo, Ramian, but I think if there's a slot there between them and Nicola, that's where I'm putting Brayley.
Fair enough. Maddy Williams, your reaction. We touched on Kennedy earlier. I've just hammered Kennedy, and the tiers were not pleasant to Kenny. He is a fullback. You think about the impact that you get from other players who are fullbacks for other teams. Are we getting enough from Kennedy? And what else do you make of the tiers?
I think it's a fair point, but I'll counter that by saying that I'm happy we've got Touchwood, Kennedy fit at this time of year. So 2022, he first came back from an ankle injury. Scored 2 tries, got lambasted for one-on-one and try line defense. And yes, it wasn't up to standard. 2023, he wasn't cited at all. There was talk of rushing him in from a hamstring injury, but it didn't happen. And who did we have play there? Was it Tracy? Maybe? I can't remember. Anyway, so I think it's just good to have him here. And I just want Kennedy to provide us a pass mark. And if he gets anything further, then that's great. I think the team as a whole, if they play their potential, we can get the results required and go deep in the finals. But yeah, if he found some form, that'd be great. The player I would be moving would be, I agree, Brayley, and I'd actually put him top. If we're looking at the last month, I think Nicker has been amazing, but Brayley has been definitely the heart and soul, and he's found some form. I'd like him to continue. I think everyone would. The first 20 minutes the other day, it was noted that basically he maybe thought, Nico's back, and didn't quite get into the game. And then he got into it, basically flick of the fingers, and was running the ball and was looking to play make as well. So he needs to keep that up. I think Kafusi, it's no surprise there. Chris and I have been singing his praises all year, and I think that I actually predicted at the start of the year that Kafusi would provide a lot for us this year. That's been a real find, and I'd put Kafusi up higher too. I hope he keeps it running because he's been, I suppose, not a highlights reel guy, but he is a massive foundation of what the team is able to do. He's by far our best prop. It's great that Rudolph's got the form back, but I think that Kafusi is vital to our chances.
Chris Kelly, your reaction to the tiers?
Quick, everyone that's a bit upset over Royce Hunt, if you look at that, it's only 16 minutes. It's a win-win for both player and club, kind of like the Connor Tracy situation, where he gets to go to another club, gets a starting role, and gets some big money. With Fanua Blake coming in, he plays about 60 to 65 minutes. So you'd probably see Royce Hunt go from 16 to about 6. So it's a win-win for both sort of scenarios. The other one, recency bias with the Warriors game, Boldo, you kind of forgot the last month and maybe before that. I would have slotted Atkinson and Stone Street right to second above those other guys, because when those guys are missing, they're the ones that have got us the wins. In Stone Street, with his electric speed that you guys talked about, he did it on the weekend where he scored a 70-metre try, and Atkinson's won games on his own back over throughout the season. So it should be, instead of no room for you, I know what you mean, like there's no room for heading towards finals, but it should be a thank you more than a no room, because those guys have been absolute superstars. So that's the only change to make, was push them up there, because, yeah, like ridiculous. They're like I said, Atkinson against Newcastle, Melbourne, and Stone Street scoring multiple tries in multiple games. A little bit higher for me.
I think that's probably a fair take, actually, given that Atkinson and Stone Street can't make the team now. Certainly probably won't make the team in the finals, but have been absolutely pivotal players these last couple of weeks. You could argue that they should have been top. But yeah, I guess that was also a look forward, and that's where the committee landed. A couple of good comments have come through. Paul's just called me out and said, Boldo, has the trauma from your hamstring injury gone to your brain? Did you see Katoa needlessly run out the line again? That is your least favourite thing, I know, Paul, is when the wingers rush up out of line.
Jam did again.
Did it again.
Mine as well. Far out.
Oh, goodness. 2.0s agreeing that Brayley should be up there with Britton Nickera, and Jacko was applauding us for having a Kiwi lad on the top. Look, don't claim to know all the answers, but that's just where I'm ranking the Sharks players right now based on what we are seeing. Well, not me, but the committee of legends. All right, let's move on from the tiers, and we will head into the next segment, which is Chris Kelly's Around the League segment. There is one round to go in the NRL Telstra Premiership. The minor premiers is confirmed. The wooden spoon's not confirmed. And the top 8, well, they're still fighting it out. Chris, what's going on? Give us the rundown.
Down there with my graphics. Thanks to the NRL for popping that up for us today. So Storm are locked in the minor premiers. As we know, they are in first and they can't shift from them. Panthers will finish second if they beat the Titans, which is probably a given they lost a few more players over the weekend, including David Feeder to a ankle surgery. The busted up Roosters finish second if they beat the Rabbitohs. We all know how those games go. The Rabbitohs are busted and pretty much kaput for the season, but they love playing the Roosters. So if the Panthers lose the Titans, Roosters beat the Rabbits, they can move up to second. The Seagulls beat the Sharks. They will host a home elimination final in week 1. So their motivation is to host a Brookvale home semi-final with their new sort of stadium out there. So for Williams, we can't drop the 5th. Can finish between 2nd and 4th if they win, but we can with big for and against, like Boldo touched on. It'd have to be a Bulldogs win massively over the Cowboys by, I think you said, Boldo, about 44 points.
44 turnaround.
So it'd have to be a
68 points is the difference. So I know that being a negative Nancy here, but 68, let's say we lose by 30, not going to happen. You but touch wood, I hope not. And the Bulldogs win by 39, not going to happen either, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, what is it? Sharks points differential 202 and Bulldogs are 134. So what's that, 68? Yeah, it's unlikely. It'd have to be an absolute shocker. God, imagine it. Can you just imagine how pissed off you're going to be on next week's podcast, Williams, if they somehow finish 5th?
Sorry, I've done the numbers. That's why I'd actually just run the gauntlet and go play the reserve grade team and prep for the next week.
All right, fair enough. All right, anything else to add?
They're going to be missing Matt Burton and to HIA, and also Bronson Cherry to suspension, but they get Stephen Crichton back. So they got Drew Hutchison playing in the halves, so I don't have him really scoring a lot of points. And I think the Cowboys will want to sort of win that game as well. So winner will take 5th place and will host a home elimination final in week 1. Winner of Dolphins and Knights takes 8th place. So it's come down to that. As much as the Boldo thought the Dragons were going to turn... unless they have a draw. If they had decided to have a draw, they both go out. The winner of the Dragons Raiders match then becomes 8th, but very highly unlikely, given that it's a
unlikely but possible.
But possible. And it doesn't got it on there, but obviously Parramatta play the West Tigers in the biggest game of the season, the Spoon Bowl. It is a sellout out at Campbelltown this weekend. It's already sold out of tickets. So the big Spoon Bowl is on this weekend on Friday at 6 o'clock. So it should be a cracker of a game.
The Dolphins, Knights, Raiders, Dragons kind of quinella, let's call it, or quadrilla, reminds me of 2019 when we're playing the Tigers at Leichhardt. And if we drew with the Tigers, both Sharks and Tigers would go through and Broncos would be out. And there was chat before the games just show highlights of the 05 grand final, 2016 grand final. Both teams to sit around, do nothing, and everyone could say, see you later, penalty Broncos, but that would be called match fixing and both teams would be in all kinds of trouble.
That's why they should play all the matches with the
in the NFL, Williams, where the Raiders and Chargers, their rivals, were playing each other, and they could have agreed to have a draw and both made the playoffs, but the Chargers decided to play a bit cheeky, so the Raiders went, well, you know what, we're going to kick a field goal and win and see you later. So it does happen.
Oh, that's right. That was going to happen with they were tied with like a few seconds left, and they went even into extra time, didn't they? And then they that's right.
Went for it, and the Raiders went, well, if you're going to go for it, then we're going to give it a field goal and see you later, end your season. So in a match on the weekend, the Eels beat the Dragons 44-40. It is the biggest score in history, by the Dragons scoring 40 points and not winning the game. The Eels were up 44-12 with about 11 minutes to go and started conceding tries like nothing else. Williams, do you know what the previous record or who the teams were involved in that before? Put you on the spot.
Oh, no, I don't actually. Go for it.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure the Canberra Raiders scored 32 points and they said 60 scored on them, I think. Something like that. Maybe West Tigers or West or something like that.
It was the Bulldogs and the Hunter Mariners.
70-30 or something like that?
46-38. So the Dragons pipped that score by not going on to win that game, but it was quite an interesting last 10 minutes to watch. I know my in-laws were out there, 1 foot in each camp, and it would have been high tension, but the Eels snuck home. They did rest a few players towards the end, but the Dragons pretty much ended their season on that result and after playing us. As we spoke about, the Roosters got absolutely decimated against Canberra. Sam Walker to an ACL, Brandon Smith to an ACL, and Victor Radley to a broken shoulder or scapula, a la Cooper Cronk style. So they are two of them are done for the season. Victor Radley's probably pretty much done. And then the Manly Seagulls also lost, as we spoke on, Turbo to an AC joint injury and Jason Saab to a syndesmosis. So more big injuries over the weekend, which obviously impacts us into the finals with Manly and the Roosters. So we'll see and watch this space to see what happens. A lot of predicting the Roosters not to win a match from here on out because they do play their rivals in the Rabbitohs and then go into a finals against the Panthers, Possible Eye, and then Possible Eye, who they play in the next week after that. So we'll see what happens. Hey, everyone's favourite, sometimes captain for the Cronulla Sharks, Aaron or Sharon Woods announced his retirement. A lot of people questioning in the social media whether he actually still was playing, but he did play reserve grade on the weekend. 270 games across the West Tigers, St George, Manly, a little stint at the Bulldogs, and of course with us. I think he was 0 for 10 for captain's challenges when he played for us, but one of the great players for the Sharks and across the NRL. He's obviously killing it in the media at the moment, so why kick on and getting bashed in reserve grade when you go into the media? So well done, Sharon.
Well done. Scott Latino's one of his all-time favourites. All right, that was quite a good round, the NRL roundup.
Is there one more, or she didn't get in there? Sorry. Just on the quick late news was we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Latrell Mitchell, Boldo's favourite subject, a loophole, is trying to get clearance to play this weekend, to be named at least, so he can cop out his suspension, so he doesn't get next year's 1 game suspension. And Felice Kafusi tonight won his challenge of Adam Reynolds running into his shoulder, where he actually got sin bin during the match, and he fought his charge and won, so he's free to play in the final game of the season against the Knights to try and make the semi-finals.
It's very surprising, CK, that you did not mention your favourite topic of Annesley discussing the Eero incident, where he mentioned he was not sent for the tackle, but for the repeated infringements of the Sharks. Also, that the ref did not have to give us a warning, and that is just on the ref. He's able to do that, ignoring the fact that Manly had a whole bunch of repeated infringements in the first half and were not punished for it, and that of those repeated infringements, they weren't all the same type of infringement.
But even the infringement itself, Franco, was ridiculous because they were trying to stop a try and the guy slipped over. And sure, you can give a penalty but it was an accident penalty. Like, it wasn't a purposeful one. And then to have a sin bin is just a joke. Sorry, you just suck.
I can read the
NRL.
bio, but it says I hate rugby league. I'm hanging on by.
Yeah, it's just a joke. That's bullshit.
I'm hanging on by an absolute thread at the moment with rugby league and Graham Ansley. I'm quite confused, and I left the game, and I almost went over, and I had to keep my cool a couple of times, but I almost went over to the HIA official and had to realise what I do for work and things like that. It wouldn't have worked out. I was going to go over there and have maybe a loud word with the HIA official because DWZ got hit not twice in the head, but 3 times, but 2 in 5 minutes in 3 sets, and did not see the sideline for a head assessment, including Eero's sin bin. So, yeah, I'm just
can't have been that bad of a knock, could it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to breathe through it, and I would have had a worse rant than Williams. So there would have been a lot of swear words because I keep watching games. Like I said, Felice Kafusi was sin binned, was charged. Adam Reynolds spilled the ball and he ran into his shoulder, went off for a shoulder injury, but claimed HIA, and now Kafusi's been released of that charge. So we're not going to go any more deeper on Graham Ansley.
I'll close on Annesley said that referees cannot invent high contact, yet, as Boldo said, they were stopping a try. Everyone was down near the ground. It was completely accidental, and that is where I think it was Gus Gould and everyone else in the media has just gone. The NRL has lost the feel for the game. Fitzgibbon blew up in the press conference, said, I'm all for protecting heads. It needs to happen. But also, too, there needs to be a caveat or some feel for the game on what's accidental and what's not, because what's to stop every player from now on just running, putting their head like this and running straight into insert player's shoulder here, get them sin binned, win the game. It's an absolute joke.
All right. Well, look, we're running a bit over time tonight, so I'm just going to throw this last point to Franco. As a man that does not attend finals matches unless they're grand final matches or they're at Shark Park. Franco, finals matches, where should they be played? What's your take? Give us a 60-second take on finals matches, and we'll round out and close out the show with that.
The rules state that if you're owed a home ground advantage for the finals, you play at your home ground. Shark Park, baby. We have had plenty of reports and evidence come out of the club that the decision has been proposed to the coach and players. Where do they want to play? And they've picked Shark Park. So if that's where they want to play, that's where I want them to play. I can't argue with that. Let's do it. That is the spot to be. There's no point playing out of the SFS against the Roosters or someone like that where it's their home ground. It's ridiculous. And talking about, being able to play big moments and in front of big crowds and by doing it at Shark Park means we're robbing ourselves of that experience. That's garbage. The field's the same size. No, just play at home, play at Shark Park. What should happen though is you should get that home ground advantage. You should let members get first crack at tickets. You should allow us to fill out the stand, black, blue, and white. And opposition fans, too bad. I'm sorry. That is part
should be Dane
of,
Wheeler. Dane Wheeler should be the compare.
Yeah, exactly. That is part of home ground advantage. What is the point of having the home ground advantage if the NRL refuses to allow the advantage that comes with that home ground? So if you've earned it for your fans, not just the players, not just the coach, but the fans. So we should get first crack at tickets, and whatever hasn't been sold in the first couple of days, then open it up to non-members, and away you go.
I never thought I'd say
Mike?
this, but I actually disagree. And I think that the last 2 years have been a complete and utter shambles. Last year was not a home ground advantage at all. Yes, tickets wise, it was a shambolic, but I just think it's too small. I actually think that all the Sydney clubs should have to play out of a larger stadium week one, not just us, but I think that we would shoot like our former Shark Park. We haven't performed. Yeah, we had a few okay results, but we gave up an 18-0 lead to Canberra, got pumped by Penrith, were really insipid against Souths, and they just kind of pulled their finger out in the second half. The weekend just gone, the Knights game. It's not that much of an advantage this year. You've got to win at the big stadiums. Boldo, your point of being overawed in 2022, I don't think that was actually the case. I think we were just busted. We were completely and utterly smashed, sticky tape together with a handful of pretty much everyone out there was carrying injuries, and Souths were red hot. And yes, there was a big crowd, but I don't think that had any factor on it. I think we would have been busted even if we're playing again, and smashed even if we're playing at Shark Park again. But
but Williams, they didn't know what they were doing. Bloody Nico was kicking goals whilst the damn fireworks were going off. Like they didn't know how to deal with it. Whilst you're right, two things can be correct without both of them being.
Oh, correct. Yeah, we can agree.
Like they didn't know how to deal with it, and they also had the problem of the sadness from the previous week, and they're also just the Sharks. Like, come on, we know that they don't win finals matches.
I know we've won in Perth last year in front of big crowd. We won at Magic Round this year. We won in Melbourne. Maybe I'm clutching at straws here, but I think play at the big stadiums. You say the Sydney Football Stadium. We've got all those magic wins in the 90s and the early 2000s that were rare, but. Against the Broncos, against the Dragons, against the Bulldogs. They're good memories. Make more of them.
2016 didn't need a Sharks Park final, did we?
Well, I don't mention 2016. Isn't that the rule? So,
well, that is one of the rules. All right, look, we've spent. Thank you everyone for watching the show tonight. We've kept you guys company for 90 minutes talking about all things Cronulla Sharks. We are very, very passionate Sharks fans. A couple of comments just coming through as we wrap up the show. Gigaplex came through earlier saying the finals is looking like a lose-lose situation. I think that's probably a fair take. Then we had, let's just go through here looking. Horsey, we got a bit excited here in Game of Thrones. Horsey, go back and check out the Game of Thrones themed tiers list. Hosey XCI. I don't know how to say some of these names. There's a lovely compliment saying there's some great segments with great production value for a YouTube NRL show. Great work. Thank you very much. And Tahibro agrees with that comment saying, agreed. We do some great content. We do have a lot of fun. If you have any suggestions for us on the ET stand, do personally send us a message and let us know what we should do. Jacko has been on fire with some comments tonight saying shit happens after 29 years of being a Warriors fan. You just have to move on. It is what it is. It's tough to argue with that. And then Hosey comes through saying 100% agree about the refs ruining game. If my team wasn't in the comp, I wouldn't watch. That's true. Scott McLaren comes through saying that was a vicious shoulder chance for Bailey on DWZ. Hi from Korea again. North Korea or South Korea this time, Scott? Where are you? I look forward to seeing that. And then Paul says, we lost our last 3 home games, which makes things a bit tough. And then Frank, good to see you in the comments, Frank. Good show, lads. Honest opinions. Well, they are always honest. Pretty fired up show tonight on the ET stand, which is a little bit more fired up than usual. But look, we are heading into the finals, aren't we, Louise? So Sunday's a biggie, but I'd kind of sitting on the Matt Williams bandwagon to just rest the players. Let's just go into week 1, try and take on Melbourne Storm. The Sharks are in the finals. That is mission 1 accomplished. Now we just got to win week 1, win week 3, and then somehow pull off a miracle. Later in the week, we'll have an opposition fan preview with one of the Manly Sea Eagles super fans, and a big supporter of the show is actually going to give a giveaway away for us for during the final series. And then we'll be back. I think we'll do the debrief after the Maddy John show on Sunday night, I think is what we will do. And then we'll be back Tuesday night next week. Anything from you lads before we sign off? Franco, you always have something extra for us before we say goodbye.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, we touched on New South Wales Jets and the NRLW, but also the flag team has made it to the finals. Came barnstorming home the last few rounds, which is great to see. It's especially promising because normally one of those teams will suffer. A lot of teams don't have the depth to have a strong flag team and a strong New South Wales Cup team. Any promising juniors in flag might get a promotion up to New South Wales Cup to get them against older, bigger, faster, stronger opposition. So to have them both up there, it's one of those things that is a real testament to the pathways of the club and recruitment retention. We're in the company of the Raiders, who we know have a massive group of great young talent coming through, and the Panthers, which speaks for themselves. So they're the only three teams that have a team in both the Flag and New South Wales Cup in the finals. But unlike the Raiders, I guess, where us and the Panthers also have our first grade in the finals. So good work, us.
Good work, Sharkies, indeed. All right, Hosea's come through in the comments, phonetically spelling his name, Hosea. So I hope I got that correct. And then Adelmo's come through with a late comment saying, let's hope the Broncos tenderize the Storm a bit for us. Fingers crossed that does them. Hosea, I am renowned for not being able to pronounce the names of our own players. I'm just lucky that I work with a Matt, a Chris, and a Steve, and a Scott. Certainly makes it pretty helpful for me. And then Scott McLaren's come through and said, south of course of Mao, though would be interesting to see the North Korean version of the ET Stand podcast. Yeah, because the Sharks, well, we've won 50 premierships in a row. Imagine that. That certainly would be a lot of fun. All right, that was the ET Stand podcast live on this Tuesday night. Thank you for everyone. Please give us a subscribe if you're still watching the show. Give us a like or a rating on any of your audio channels. We'll be back with more stuff during the rest of the season, which hopefully goes for another 5 weeks. We'll see you on the ET Stand next time.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.